Shalom to the house of Israel. This is Israelite Nation Assembly. I'm right here to the right, Brother Ira. To my left, Brother Kiefer. And today's quick lesson we're going to go over is talking about how we walk in the Spirit. And when we walk in the Spirit, that means we are keeping Yah's commandments. And today's scripture, we got a few scriptures, and we're going to start in Galatians 5 and 25.
Galatians 5, verse 25. Let us not be desirous of vainglory, provoking one another, envying one another. I'm sorry, that's 26. Galatians 5 and 25. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit.
Yes, sir. And to live, that is an action. And I just want to go over a quick definition because it is a verb. So the quick one is to spend one life in a particular way or under a particular circumstance. Now hold that thought. Now we're going to go to Romans 8, 4 through 5.
Romans 8, 4 through 5. That the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace.
Now, to expound on this just a little bit, to walk in the Spirit means to walk after Yah's law. So we know Yah is a spirit, and us, we must worship him in spirit and in truth, but we're going to go into scripture to show you it as well. So the next scripture we're going to go to is Psalms 119 and 142.
Psalms 119, verse 142. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth.
To give a better explanation, thy means Yah, his righteousness, which is his word. And what's come from his word is the law. And it is truth, because Yah is truth. He cannot lie. Next, we're going to backtrack, and we're going to go to Galatians 6, the precepted, and verses 1 through 4.
Galatians 6, verses 1 through 4. Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such and one in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Yahushua Messiah. For if a man think himself to be something, when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself. But let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone, and not in another.
Now, these 4 verses explains a few things right here. Now, it's telling you that you are living in the Spirit. And this, when you are living in the Spirit, you are following Yah's commandments. And this is telling you, if your brother is being fault, correct him or help him correct himself. So, also, when you jump down to verse 4, to prove your own work, that a work in progress, that means you are following Scripture. You are following Yah's laws. Now, we're going to backtrack again. We're going to go to Galatians 3. We're going to start at 14. Then we're going to jump to 17. Then we're going to jump back to 10.
Galatians 3 and 14. That the blessing of Abraham might come on the Gentiles through Yahushua Messiah, that we might receive the promise of the Spirit through faith. What are we going to?
Hold on, let me explain this real quick. Verses 14, that we might receive the promise of the Spirit through faith. Remember in Genesis, Abraham, He received the promise of who? Yah. Because why? He had faith. Now we're going to jump down to 17.
Galatians 3:17. And this I say, that the covenant that was confirmed before of Yah in Yehoshua, the law, which was 430 years after, cannot disannul, that it should make the promise of none effect.
Okay, now let me explain verse 17. Now the covenant was given to Abraham first, but 430 years after, this was in our first